and it still does the same thing in my ear. But it's okay. I forgive you this time.
Yeah, you been.
So I'm good. How are you doing, sir?
Oh,
Uh,
living the dream.
yeah.
Somebody's dream.
Whose dream?
Yeah.
Whose dream are you living?
Somebody and whoever's dream it is, they could take it back.
Oh no. Welcome everyone. We are back. Well, Chris and I are back. Yendi is playing Overwatch, so you guys can go ahead and feel free to shame him all you want because he rather play Overwatch than do the show with us. Ain't that
Mm-hmm.
right, Chris? Episode
Mm-hmm.
70, 7-0, and Yendi's playing Overwatch. I hope he's losing, is what I hope. I hope he's not winning. I hope he's frustrated. That way he can realize that he would have had more fun doing the show than losing in Overwatch.
And you know what that means too. Also, him not being here, he has to give us 10% more in our Fnatic contract.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. That is
Sucks.
true.
Sorry,
Yikes.
Fnatic.
Whew.
It
I
is
mean,
what it
it
is.
is what it is. But welcome, everyone. We are glad to be back. We were able to get a show in. We have Chris back, so there was some things going on, life that happens that you can't control, and it's like that sometimes. It's just things that we can't control. But you know what? Today we're here, and for the foreseeable future, but always we're always dropping the debrief, so you guys can always check those out if you guys have the time to check those out.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, we'll just we're going to freeform the show, kind of. There's no real structure to this. Now that Yendi's not here, we can talk about TV shows also because there's no point of asking Yendi about how he feels about a TV show when we know he's not going to watch it, even if he likes the content. I will. Perfect example: Lord of the Rings. How do you say you like Lord of the Rings and you didn't even watch the show?
Yeah, that's
I don't
crazy.
even think he's watched an episode. Not one episode. Okay, of probably the best uh cinematic TV show you ever watch. I'm not saying it's the best show you ever watch, but cinematic wise, it probably the best show because they definitely spent $1 billion on that. But yeah, so let's get into it. Let's ask Chris how he's been doing because I'm sure you guys want to know how he's been doing because you haven't heard from him in a while. You
Yeah.
guys heard from me all the damn time, so
Alan's been holding down the fort with all the debriefs. I am playing catch up with all TV shows. Last time you guys heard from me, I was on the way to Portugal, so
yeah.
made it back. Um, do I wish I lived there? Kind of. It
I
was
mean,
great.
hey, you
Yeah,
could go there.
I know.
There's nothing tying you here.
Hmm.
You know.
And it was fantastic. And then we had some issues when we got back, but everything has shaped up to be fine. Everybody's healthy, and yeah, it was just a lifestyle change right now for me and the wife, which is not bad. So now I'm just
Yeah.
playing catch up. I started me leaving kind of gave me that creative itch again, so I started my YouTube channel up again to do let's plays. I just liked just making those videos and hanging out and doing let's plays. So and I'm waiting for God of War to come out at midnight tonight so I can record the first episode of that gameplay instead of just doing Call of Duty videos all the time, and we're gonna see how that goes. So
Yeah.
just been busy, man. I've been busy watching Naruto and
Nice.
finished She-Hulk today. Got to finish Andor, well, catch up on Andor so I can jump back on the debrief.
Uh-huh.
Uh, yeah, and then I got some well, no, because I don't know how you feel about you. Don't like movie reviews, right?
What? What do you mean?
Like other people reviewing movies, like you
I
don't
don't
really
care.
pay attention to them.
I mean, it is what it is. I
Okay,
don't
because I
care
had a
about other
question
people.
about Wakanda Forever. If you've seen what
No, no,
people
no.
are
I
saying.
haven't seen anybody's review on it. Just because I'm ready to go see it.
Yeah.
We are in Wakanda week, so um, yeah, I haven't watched. I've seen like some people say they've enjoyed it. They like what the direction was, but it's hard. You know what I mean? Because like
So tough.
when you read someone else's like reviews, like we all go into movies with a different mindset, right? Like we're not all going in with this generic, like, oh, I'm going to go watch this movie, especially after, I mean, this movie in particular, right? Where you had people who wanted the recasting of T'Challa, you know what I mean? And I'll break that more into detail, like when I do the debrief on that one. But like, you've had people who were about wanting to make that change and not putting the real life emotions attached to the character and the person, right? Like we have to remember when Black Panther was made, like there was nothing like Black Panther, right? There was nothing like the movie that they made. So that crew and, group of actors and actresses, they all had a special bond, right? So for them to lose the person and the main character, should T'Challa be recasted? I do think eventually, but should it be the next movie with the same actors who just had to work with this man and, all had high praises about him? Like, we can't just throw away the human element of movies, right? Like,
Yeah.
so people are just like ready to be like, oh no, don't worry about it. Like, we can, like, we live in this world where we just like recover so fast from things where it's just like, it's not we're not all recovering the same way. And I think the cast, especially with the interviews they've been doing, you can tell they felt like they weren't ready for a recast. So would you have taken, would it have been worth recasting T'Challa and have the whole cast be like, I don't want to do this movie? Or, do the direction they went in, which we don't know yet. So that's what I feel about that. And like I said, I'll go into more detail about it when I drop that. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it. It's coming out this week. It's finally here. I feel like it's going to be the real jumping point. Like now, like we're going to get into like really start to get to where we want to get to, and I feel like where most people want to get to. Like I said, for me, this phase has been. I've liked this phase. I
This
know a lot
ends.
of
This
people.
ends the phase, correct?
I think Quantum Realm ends phase. Maybe this does end the phase.
I'll look
I
it up
think
while
it
you
does.
explain what
Yeah,
you were
I think
explaining.
it does end the phase. But yeah, I think this is going to be that real that jump that everyone's looking for. Like I always say with this phase, I've enjoyed this phase, but this is basically phase one with expectations, right? Like people are expecting Endgame to occur and not for like not remembering that Endgame took, the well over 13 years to make. And the content's not for everyone. Like you may not like these stories, but this is how comic books are also, right? Like there's stories that people don't like in comics who they haven't read a soul, like you know what I mean? So there's plenty of this is how it's going to be, and it's not for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to read about the connected universe, then you'll watch it. If not, then you don't have to. Like, you know what I mean? But you will probably miss out on a bit of storytelling that you may want to, And again, the way that we get information now, it's so much easier for people to just watch a synopsis of what happened in a TV show you don't want to watch.
Also,
Right. So,
yeah. Real quick. Yeah. So Quantumania is the kickoff of Phase 5. So this is the end
yeah.
of Phase 4.
Yeah.
Um, I also wanted to say with the time that I was off and everything, I completely understand now, and I want to apologize because I'm pretty sure in the past debriefs where I'm like, you guys need to hop on these shows, like hop on the bus. People are like, I'm overwhelmed. I was like, you just need to get on. You need to figure it out. And I felt a little bit behind, and man, I just felt like it was show after show after show
Well,
was
it
coming
was a
out.
lot of shows.
I was like, whoa, whoa, chill out. Yeah,
October, like that September, that end of September, October was literally like if you were a fan of just pop culture, like like stuff, you were watching at least 5 or 6 shows, like,
dude, it
and that's
was
not even counting like the animes, like that, because like I was doing the Andor, we were doing She-Hulk, we did Lord of the Rings, we did House of the Dragon, and then not that like on top of that, like all of the other content that came out, like as far as like anime, because like Chainsaw Man's already on like episode 4, like so there's just like a
Spy
bunch of
Family
stuff.
started back up. My Hero
Yeah,
started
my
back
my
up.
hero started back up. Like it was a bunch of stuff, and I
Eh,
mean, we can't complain. Like this is what we want. Like you
yeah.
can't complain and say you don't have anything to watch because that is not
It's
true.
just
There's
tough
so
because
much to watch.
I've been playing more and more video games, and it sucks.
Mm.
Like I mean, it doesn't suck. I've been playing a game called Eastward that I got into. Very good game. I highly recommend it if everybody likes like that 8-bit style. Um, but yeah, like Black Magic said, it's been an overwhelming few months. It has. I've had to tell myself like today, I'm falling back into the Call of Duty kid that I was when I started YouTube, where I was just like, if I take a day off of multiplayer, I'm behind. And today was that day where I was just like, I'm not playing this, and I sat down, watched TV, and enjoyed myself. Same thing with God of War. Like, I'm not letting these multiplayer games kind of hold me
Yeah.
there. I'm just gonna play for fun and then go back to my single player stuff and go on my own journey. But with the content, like, dude, like, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I love Star Wars. You guys can see the Legos above me. I have which I'll pull down in a little bit to show you, because this is actually my favorite piece. It's like a Lego Call of Duty scene, or not Call of Duty, Lego Star Wars scene, and I got the black saber sitting up there, the dark saber, and I haven't finished Obi-Wan. I'm 2 episodes away from Obi-Wan. Like, it just started, like, things just and how it started off with was like, I'll come, yeah, shame. It's like, okay, I'll watch it, and I'm like, I'll watch it this weekend, and then that weekend turns into months, and I'm like, this next Star Wars show is about to come out already, and I'm like, I need to go back and watch all this other stuff before it comes out.
This is why I watch them as soon as they drop, because like, and I tell people this all the time. People are like, "Oh, that's crazy." Like, binging shows now is, for me, I don't prefer binging shows. I've always been a fan of weekly because it gives you time to digest. It also gives you a set time to have your schedule. So like, I don't have to worry about watching 12 hours. Like, if you didn't watch, like, for instance, like, you're in this scenario right now. Like, if you didn't watch House of the Dragon, you now have to watch 10 hours of content. Like, you know what I mean? Opposed to watching 1 hour of content 10 times.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? Same thing with with Rings of Power. Like, and those are full hour episodes. So like, that's 8 hours right there. Like, 8 full hours. And then the thing is, because it's like, because you have the access to it, you're going to be like, oh, let me watch one more episode. And then that one episode becomes 2 hours. And then, like, you know what I mean? Because there's so much like content to them, like Andor, those are like 45 to like 50-minute episodes. So like, and it's going to be 12 episodes. So I prefer to watch it as soon as they come out, because not only do I don't want people spoiling it for me, but also like, it just gives me time to like, okay, I watched it. Like, now I can, like, like really like enjoy what I watched, and then even watch it again sometimes, and then do like then do the review on it and stuff like that, because I don't, and I like to have that in between time, because then you get to talk about it with people. Like, you get better, like, oh, what do you think is going to happen this episode, or what do you think is going to happen next episode? Like, I think it overall gives you a better experience of TV when you watch it weekly. People just like to have the access to watch everything else, but binging is probably the worst too, because like, you forget things. Like, you forget, like, everything feels like one long story, and you don't even like, you don't get to enjoy the cliffhangers of an episode, right? Like, you don't get to be like, oh, that ended on a cliffhanger, and then talk about it with everyone. You kind of just go, oh, that happened, and then you just watch the whole season, and then you just remember the end of the cliffhanger, like the last thing that happened. So
Yeah.
for
Also, Black Magic says, I've never been a fan of weekly till this past few months. Bleach,
Mhm.
I forgot about Bleach. My Hero,
Bleach
Chainsaw
too.
Man, plus
One Piece movie.
my Law and Order, and all the Star Wars and
Yep.
Marvel stuff is nuts. It's
Yeah.
it's definitely given me, like, this is gonna turn into like a what is it called? Venting episode. It's definitely given me something of I need to be, so Alan is definitely the um uh I guess you could say sorcerer supreme of like how he navigates through these shows and is able to keep up with everything, including gaming and all this other stuff. Um, and I felt like it did get to a point for me for the debriefs where I was like, okay, I'm watching this as like, and it's starting to feel like a chore, and I don't like that. And then it shies me away from watching the TV show because I'm like, I don't feel like, you know what I mean? So now
Yeah.
it's gonna turn into like, okay, I'm gonna have to really think about like, okay, this is what I enjoy right now, and this is what we're gonna, and I have to go through this. So, just trying to navigate through that because there is an overload, and
Yeah, like I said, you just have to set. But the reason why I'm able to is just setting a time for when you're going to watch the show.
yeah, but
Like if
also our schedules are really
yeah, are
different too, and
completely
that
different.
and you have more control over what's going on with you, whereas I have a mouse
Yeah,
controlling on what I'm going to do.
exactly.
So,
Well, that's true too.
so
And but like I said, for me, I just even when I was working, entertainment also, it's just finding the time where you're going to watch these shows or like
oh
how are you going to watch the show? Like, you know what I mean? Like at what point in time do you plan on watching this show? Like, you know what I mean? So it
yeah.
is what it is. I mean, but I mean, I'm not missing them because that's just what I love. I
Yeah,
love
exactly.
to watch
I'm
content. So
getting
I'm
back
just
into
like,
the swing of things, and also Cora has helped me out too because she used
yeah.
to just not like. The thing is like I want to lay in bed and watch TV, and she doesn't know how to sit still. But now she's finally like, okay, I'll chill out for a bit and get a few episodes in. Also, Black Magic
Yeah.
said, "Wait, did he say One Piece movie? Is that a thing?"
Yeah, they're
Man,
making. You didn't know
you
about the One Piece movie,
yeah,
One Piece Red?
you need to go back into Google because I already
Hmm.
they already have stuff out. I
Yeah.
collect, as you guys know, or some of you guys know, I collect vinyls, gaming vinyls, and some anime ones. I'm still waiting. There's a Spy Family vinyl coming out that they announced at the
Mhm.
beginning of this year, before the show. They're like,
Yep.
hey, this is happening. The music's great, and we're making a vinyl. We got the rights to make a vinyl. I'm like, cool. So I'm waiting. But also, they're like, hey, while you're waiting for this thing, the One Piece movie vinyl is gonna come out in a couple months too, so you can go ahead and pre-order it. And I was like, okay.
Well, they're ready. I
So
mean, that's how you do it. You got to drop those like you
exactly.
got to the anime movies are just becoming one of those things where people are like enjoying, especially like I said, I think it works the best when you're adding to the story because then you kind of forcing people like you're forcing people who want to go watch it, right? Like, so I wouldn't even consider it being forced because you're either going to watch it at home, like you're going to wait for it, or you're going to go out to the movie to watch it. But it helps the animes because when they get that box office numbers, right? Like, and they get that box office money, like that helps them with their animation
Mm-hmm.
and their time. So, like, even though you might not want it to be like, some people don't want, like, oh, I don't want it to have to be like, I have to force to go watch it. But like, this is a better way of supporting the content you watch because really, you don't like, a lot of people don't buy merch, right? If you're not buying merch or if you're not buying the DVDs and Blu-rays and things like that, like they only make the money based off of whatever contract or it is. Some of them have contracts where they do make more money based off of sales and stuff like that. So going out, and this is what Netflix is having an issue with, which we'll get into because that's actually one of the stories I want to talk about, like Netflix. But Netflix, one of their issues is, and you'll notice like why Netflix is adding ads and things like that is because what's happening is they're paying too much money to keep these contents up. And what they're not getting is revenue back because your subscription, your 15 bucks, like 20 bucks or whatever it is, like that is not enough to support as much money as Netflix spends.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Because Netflix is spending a ton of money. So
And
Netflix
canceling
is
way too much too.
well,
Because
yeah, but they're canceling because
because of their
they're
mate.
not, yeah,
Yeah.
they're not making a return investment. So like Netflix would do like that's why Netflix, as you can see, they're trying to start that market of marketing properly and trying to get their movies inside of like AMC theaters. As you can see, that's why even though it's a good start, but this is an awful deal. But basically that's why what's the movie coming out? Gosh, Knives Out, the second one is going to be in movie theaters for the first week, like for Thanksgiving weekend. It's going to be there so they can make some of that
I just thought
money
I was
back.
confused. I was like, I just
Yeah,
got the thing that I was like, it's gonna be on Netflix. And I was like, oh wait, this is a
yeah,
Netflix movie.
yeah.
So
It's going to
that's
be on Netflix, but they're releasing it first in the theaters. But the thing is, they're only doing it for a week, which is stupid because it's not like especially even the first Knives Out is kind of a word of mouth movie.
Hmm.
And by the time you tell people that, they're gonna be able to watch it at home. And like you would have made some money, but if you would have kept it in there for a month, you would have made a lot more money. So I don't. Netflix is trying to do. That's why they're going to the ad things so that they can make some money off ads. And a lot of people, 7.99, don't mind watching ads, right? Especially if they do it correctly with with the ads for movies in the beginning and the end. It won't be a big deal because a lot of people will be like, okay, I'm cool with that. So 7.99 is not a bad price for. I mean, some people are going to complain, and some people are going to pay the $20. So it is it's a nice thing to add for any streaming service because again, yes, we're consumers. We want it to be the cheapest and get the best value, but realistically, in a business standpoint, that doesn't work. Like,
Yeah.
so
Going back on the anime thing, who do you think started the movie craze that like okay, so there's always been anime movies, right?
yeah,
But not all of them pertain to the story. A lot of them were like one-offs like, "Hey, I know Naruto did one that doesn't pertain to the story. It's just like, "Hey, we're going on this long mission." And they go out.
yeah. I
So
want
who started it? And then also I wanted to say whenever you were going on like, "Oh, you know, it's great that they're doing these anime movies that progress the story." It's great unless you're doing it like Dragon Ball. Love you Dragon Ball, but don't like they got to stop with, "Hey, we're putting out this movie, but also whenever the new season starts, we're going to break up the movie into 50 episodes and that's going to be your first 50." And if you
well,
and
yeah.
also in between those, we're going to add like maybe one or two episodes that were not in the movie, so you definitely have to watch. And it's like
Yeah,
okay.
well, I mean, I got a lot to say about Dragon
Yeah,
Ball,
I know
but
you do,
I'm
but
not
I'm
even
just
going to
saying
start.
as like I'm
But the people I want to say because I knew this answer, but I don't remember it off the top of my head. But I want to say one of the Dragon Ball movies definitely progressed the story. But I think the person who made it like repopular was Demon Slayer, because
well,
like
because they came
Mugen
in at the
Train,
right, yeah, the right
yeah,
time. That set everything off.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, right.
Mugen Train was 100% like advancement of the story. I
Yeah,
think One Piece is first. I want to say because it's all a blur with One Piece because there's so many episodes, but I want to say one of their movies also progressed the story. But like I said, the most notable one was was Demon Slayer, and then what you call it just did a really good one. Jujutsu Kaisen did something that it didn't. They did it smart because they did basically a prequel, but it does kind of set you up for season two. Like
gotcha.
so, it's a continuation which yeah, it's like I said, it's good for them to do it that way. Like I said, I think Demon Slayer and does it the best because they do their episode, like they do it and then they do give you that time frame when they're like, oh, just remember the first, like, four episodes is going to be the movie, and then you'll get your season two, like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, which is
Oh yeah, they did the same thing,
cool.
right? They did that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
they
they
did
didn't
do
do
that.
it like 50 episodes. They
Yeah,
did
yeah,
like,
they
and they let
did.
you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were like very transparent about it. So, but yeah, it's like I said, for them, it's a good way to get people to go out to the movies. People pay to see those, and then you buy your merch and things like that. So I think it's a good way for people to, and it's fun watching anime with people like in the theaters, like what I mean, with people having reactions with you and stuff like that. It's a nice way to watch anime. I prefer it. If they just have that one-off story. I mean, I've watched My Hero in theaters, so which the animation just looks so good
Yeah,
on the
that
big
first
screen.
movie
Like,
was. I know that first movie
yeah,
was just, that's the thing though is like whenever it
both
comes to
of their
those
movies were
movies.
kind of fillers. Yeah,
Well, I thought the second one was actually story driven.
it was a little story
Yeah,
driven, but
I
it
didn't.
wasn't. Yeah, because
Okay. But that
yeah,
first one, yeah, that first one was like I just don't like whenever they make the movies and it feels like it progresses the story and then they go back to the show and it
yeah,
acts like it never
like they
happened
never
and it's just
happened.
like,
Yeah,
listen, man, you just fought this
yeah,
dude like and he's doing the same moves. Are you sure you don't
yeah.
remember
Yeah,
anything?
no, no,
Nothing?
no.
All
Do you
right.
don't remember that move you did at the end of the last movie where you were like God? No? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, so I
Fever
guess
dream.
not. But yeah, so I mean it is what it is. But speaking of Netflix and stuff, and TV shows and animated stuff,
Yeah.
Gears of War, Netflix has just announced that they're taking charge of the Gears of War movie. And they're
Oh.
going to be releasing an animated series that's also in the works. Now, That's one thing I will give Netflix a lot of credit for. Their animated shows have been fantastic because Cyberpunk literally, literally reboosted that game. Like the Cyberpunk TV show, if you guys, the anime, if you haven't watched it, literally gave that game
Everybody, it was all
life
over my
again.
TikTok.
Like,
Everybody's like, oh, I found so and so's gun from
yeah,
the
Edge
show.
Runner.
Oh my god, I was
Yeah,
like,
Edge
wow.
Runner literally set the it saved Cyberpunk in like in a sense where like there was like when Edge Runner came out, Edge Runner there was literally 1 million players a day on Steam playing Cyberpunk again. And if you haven't played Cyberpunk since the Edge Runner update,
Now is the
go play
time. Yeah,
Cyberpunk.
now is
Like
the time.
because
It's
it is
good.
really good now. Like it's the game that they promised. It's the game that everyone wanted.
Mhm.
Yes, it has a few bugs, but like I said, if it's your first time playing, like you are going to thoroughly enjoy that game right now. And if it's not your first time playing, if you remember the disaster that game was, you're going to thoroughly enjoy playing it now because it's a lot smoother, it's a lot more populated. The game is a lot more enjoyable. So
Imagine being in
Edge
that
Runner,
studio, man. Like, what was it? When did that game officially come out? Like it's been 2 years.
yeah, it's like
Two
came out
years.
around when the systems all
And they
dropped. So yeah,
stuck with it. They stuck with it, and they're like, "We need to fix this." And then they
well,
fix
they
it.
had to.
Yeah, they have to. So they
Yeah,
get it fixed, and they're like, "This is the fix. It's good."
yeah,
And then there was like, "Okay, but well, you kind of burned us. Nobody wants to play it."
yeah,
And then you get the show, and then the show
yeah. The
brings everybody
show,
back, and you're like, "Okay." So
yeah,
because I remember we talked about this in the show previously, that it was like we thought it was gonna be like uh what's that game? What's that other game? The space game called No Man's
oh, No
Sky.
Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky, but No Man's Sky doesn't have that kind of thing. They had to keep
Yeah,
updating it a lot
yeah,
and then putting expansions in and everything like that. And so where other streamers and stuff like that, they were hoping that after a amount of time that they were going to get that audience back, and they eventually did. But and I'm sure CD Projekt Red was on that track, but this just like fully just booted them up to the
yeah.
front of the line,
Ooh,
and it's a
well, like I
crazy
said, and this
turnaround to
is
see.
we kind of had this conversation in the group chat. But this is what I was saying when I was talking about it, and I didn't like you don't get to elaborate as much
Yeah,
on
yeah.
words like you can when you're speaking. But what it did was like basically that when they were just like, when that rumor came out where they were just like, oh, we don't like this is gonna be the last one. And I was like, I don't like that's not the wording that they used because once that this came out and it's as good as it is now what they're doing is smart because now you don't have to set yourself up for failure, right? Like now you can take this momentum wave and like people are going to play the expansion. If the expansion's really good, what people are going to do is they're going to be like, I want to play more Cyberpunk. And I really genuinely believe that that team is still working on all of the releases that they initially promised us, like all the DLC and stuff like that. They're just not saying anything. And I think it's a great move. Like, don't say anything
Don't
because
show all your cards,
you,
man. Just
yeah,
hold
because
on.
the thing is, you don't need to.
Yeah.
Because what gets a lot of people is, again, I always say this, is expectation. People expect things. And when you feel that expectation for people, like they're naturally going to think like, okay, this is the best thing I'm going to play and I'm going to get 5 expansions of this game, right? And realistically, your money may not work that way. Like your company may want to move on and you can't just be like, I'm going to release 5 expansions. If you just wait and then you don't even give people a time frame, now you're generating more buzz, right? Because more people are going to be like, I want to play another Cyberpunk game or I want to play another DLC for Cyberpunk. And oh, I haven't heard no word from it. So then when that rumor or that screenshot or that leak starts, people start talking about it. And that's just the new generation of like media that we're in. Like you need people to be engaging into the things that you're doing so that people can buy it. You know what I mean? So if they use that to their advantage, and I really hope that the expansion is good, and I always trusted CD Project Red. I understood that that wasn't mostly on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it really wasn't. Like, and a lot of people, there's people who are backing those projects, especially when you look at things like from a business standpoint, where people are backing projects and they expect certain things. and they don't know what they're talking about. And this is what happened with Warner Brothers. This is why, if you guys are following like all the Warner Brother news and Zaslav, like just him basically kicking people out of them not knowing what these movies or these TV shows mean to people and actually how much they can generate.
Yep.
If you look at a year ago of what the Warner Brothers were just trying to release as many things as possible. Now Zaslav is like, I don't care about any of your other crap, okay? I want Superman, okay? I want Harry Potter. I want House of the Dragon. I want Blade Runner. These are the things that people care about. These are the things we need to work on because those are the things people are going to buy.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's what, you know, we need in gaming, right? Like we need people to, it's okay if your game doesn't come out every year, right? Like look at Call of Duty. They took some time off and a lot of people have been responding well to Modern Warfare 2. Even though there is a news story that I'm going to talk about where they just talked about they're going to release the next full premium one in 2023 because showing that they have not learned from what they were talking about. Yeah, I just read it. So like
I thought it was
there's going
2024. Or no.
it says
Yeah,
says 2023. So they haven't learned from what they just, you know, benefited from. But, you know, that's the thing. So for Cyberpunk, I feel like it's going to be a smart move. They got their fans back. They got people back enjoying the game. And that's what's so cool about it. And I hope that that does the same for Gears because Gears is one of my favorite gaming franchises. And I mean, and it works for a movie. Like there's no way that Gears doesn't work as a movie. Like you could take literally the whole first game, just put some actors in there. You could tell the same story. You can have them do the same action scenes. I don't care. I'll watch it again because
oh my god, dude! Because I only played the first. I remember the first one the most because the what is it called? The Krill.
Yeah, the Krill,
bro
with the
that
dark, yeah.
That sticks with me forever. That scene. If they could do that scene in a movie,
dude, but
that's
can,
it. Like
though,
yeah, exactly. So it's gonna be crazy. I think it's cool that all these companies. I mean, like we're kind of pulling away from, except for Paramount and Halo.
Yeah.
But the video game TV shows aren't bad. Like they're starting to get to that point where it's like, okay, we're picking up speed. You guys are following the story, excluding Halo. I'm gonna keep saying that. But like, what was it? Arcane, fantastic. Didn't follow the game, but it was its own story. But there's not really lore.
It's smart.
What's that? Go ahead.
I said it's smart what they did with Arcane because Arcane, League is not really a story-based game, and the only thing that you really have from League is the lore. Like you can read the lore, and you don't have to. You know, you could do that whatever you want. Like it doesn't have to vary from what the lore is of those characters, right? So like you can have Vi. Well, spoiler alerts. Like you can have Vi and Jinx be, you know, who they were in the show. Like, you know what I mean? Their relationship doesn't have to change. You can also keep all of the rivalries that are in the lore so that way you don't, you know, you're not varying too much. And again, the thing is what I don't like about a lot of like adaptations, and this is what they are, right? They are adaptations of, you know, things that we like, right? And we feel like I just feel like a majority of these stories that they try to adapt don't need to be changed. Like, and this is what worries me about Last of Us, because I feel, to me, that a perfect story was already told, right? Like the story for me, you can't get better than what you already showed me in Last of Us. Like I'm still gonna watch. You could literally make the same show, like a live action, and I'll watch it. And obviously, you would have your directive creative control on the game parts that we played, but the game itself and the story shouldn't need much changing. Like, you know what I mean? The story is already there. You're just opening it up to a wider audience. So for me, I don't feel like you can go a little bit before Last of Us, like before everything happens, and then kind of tell that story, but it doesn't require much changing. So I think a lot of the gaming developers, I mean, the movie, they don't understand that people will just come watch it anyway, and that fan base is already going to show up. And like you just need to, you know, obviously it does take some skill to make it work for television, but again, you're already telling a story that works. You just need people who care about the content. And that's why we're having the issue with Witcher with the Henry Cavill departure is because like even though like he's leaving and he's going to be busy, people didn't care about like even the producers, like the main producer is saying like, oh, people on this table, like in this writing room, they don't care about the original content. And like people are like, yeah, I'm not having you write stuff about a Witcher TV show if you don't like the books. That makes no sense. Like if you don't like the books and the games, then what are you doing? You like you're just a writer. Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You're just writing to you don't have that connection, right? And that's what you need in order to tell like a story that's going to impact. Like you have to have a passion for it. Like I can't just come out here and be like, okay, unless that's what you're applying for, right? Like, oh, I'm a writer and like I want to write things that like are generic or like don't have anything like tied to them. But like if I'm Netflix, I want people who care about this content because we see when people care about it, Arcane, what happens? Like it's handled with a different care. People will they know what the fans are thinking. They're connected with that fan base, and that's what Henry Cavill is to us because he's one of us.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So like he's like, oh, if you don't care about the things that made me care about this role, why would I continue to do this if you guys are going to very like go way off of what the books are? And that's what happened in season 2. And a lot of people don't know that because a lot of people didn't read the books. So they're just like, oh, season 2 was fine. But it's like, if you read the books, you're not going to like season 2.
Mm.
Like a majority of people are not going to like season 2. Like if you read the books, because it's very different from the source content. So, and again, it does depend though, because there's things that people do. I think things do need to be changed from books because our brains just work a different way from when we're reading something and what we imagine things as and for a TV show. But also don't do the TV show if you can't produce what the books can, right? Like you have to be able to give people that imagination. And I think it's hard for people to creators to who want to be like, oh, I want to make it my own. Well, then go make something else. Don't take, you know what I mean, content that was already made. And
Would
that's
you? Is there a movie? Um,
I just had this conversation. You're gonna ask, is there a book that's I mean, is there a movie that's better than the books? Is that what you're gonna ask?
no, I was gonna ask. I mean, that's
Uh,
a good question. Actually, I
okay.
want to know the answer to that one. But also, is there a game that you want to see become a movie? I feel like we've asked this question many times. I think we said BioShock, and BioShock is being made into
BioShock would be fire.
and Amazon has it.
Yes.
It's going to
BioShock would
Amazon.
be a great um I think BioShock would it'd be perfect because there's enough lore that we don't know
Mm-hmm.
in that game that you can add, right? Because when you really think about it, what we know a majority of what for the things that we played BioShock for was the like the actual gameplay, right? Like we're shooting around like the big daddies and things like that, like you know, saving the little sisters or choosing not to save them. But but the game itself is so open enough to where like you don't have to necessarily do one or the other, right? Like he can maybe be like fighting a big daddy and because of that he needs to he needs to harness the power in order to take that big daddy out, but
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't mean he necessarily doesn't want to save them. Like but in this particular situation or that episode or that movie scene he had to do it, right? So you kind of get that like that feel for the character and being in that position. So you don't it doesn't have to be as linear when you have a TV show, especially because we don't have that much lore. Like we know what happened to Rapture, but we didn't see it, right?
Yeah,
Like we
exactly.
didn't know, like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
we
that'd be cool to
know
see.
that everyone got like was off of all like all of the things that they were taking, but we didn't know like we haven't seen that disintegration and stuff like that. So there's so much you can add to like a BioShock show. Um, but I mean, you can make great storied game can be made into a movie or a TV show. It's just whether how much are you going to change of it?
I'd like
Like,
HBO Max
what's
to
your
do
plan?
Dead Space.
Dead Space is another good one because that's again that's another one that could be well directed,
Yeah.
right? Like there's not that much of the story that like we know,
I
and you
would
can
want it to
change.
end like basically in my head, I would want it to end with Isaac showing up, like getting the
Yeah,
message. Like I want to know from the beginning of like that first crew that went out and saw what was going on and what
yeah,
happened to them.
that's what I'm saying. So you
So
can do things. It's just whether you got to keep it enough of the source material where those original fans don't get mad, right?
yeah.
So like Resident Evil did a bad job at that, right? Like their Netflix show, like it's just like, and it's not just a Netflix show, it's the movies also.
Hmm.
Like Resident Evil never did a good job at capturing, but that's because that game is a story driven game,
Yeah.
right? Like Resident Evil 1, you're in the mansion for a reason. There, Wesker, like you don't like what like Wesker, you don't like Wesker for a reason. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's reasons behind it, even though you're playing a game that's about puzzles and stuff like that. But you know like what the story is about. And if you don't get those story elements, people are gonna be like, what am I watching? Like, I don't care about the T virus. Like, I care about the characters
Hmm.
that I met in the game. Like, you know what I mean? So that's why Silent Hill, the movie, works, even though it doesn't follow like the story directly, but it did all of those good things that the game did, right? Like, so it you feel that eeriness, you feel like that haunting areas and like Pyramid Head and all that stuff. They made all that stuff work, but again, that was more for the hardcore fans. So you have to kind of balance it out, and it's hard to balance it out if you don't know about the source material or care about it enough.
And also, we didn't get to talk. I know this episode's a lot about movies, but there's a lot we got to catch up on. I
Yeah.
don't. We haven't got to talk about the Mario trailer. I know you don't watch trailers, but did you watch that one at all?
I did not watch the trailer.
So you didn't have
But,
any
but I
interest in
know the
like hearing the.
pictures. No, no, no. I don't listen. Again, like I said, we had this conversation already, and I just, I don't like. I get why they did it. I just feel like for me, it doesn't make any sense to not cast the voice of Mario because regardless of what anyone says, even if he didn't do that voice, okay, if he didn't even do the voice that we know as like as kids or growing up or whatever, he is a voice actor who can adapt his voice. Like he could have given Mario still the similarities of his voice and make it more conversational. Like he is a voice act, like that is what he does. So like to tell me to that we hired Chris Pratt to do a voice of Mario that was going to be different anyway, instead of asking the voice of Mario to just do a different voice, makes no sense to me. Like the I know why they did it, because they want people to be like, "Oh, Chris Pratt," and then like I'm going to go watch it. Like, but you don't need to do that. It's Mario.
Yeah, true.
Like it's a big
It's not
enough
like
it's a
and
big enough
nobody.
name.
I'm pretty sure everybody knows who red
Yeah.
overalls and a hat are.
Like,
So
you know what I mean? Like there's no like Chris for me, Chris Pratt is not, and now, I'm not going to say he's not drawing people in, because there's going to be a group of people who are like, oh, Chris Pratt, like who are just Chris Pratt fans, right? But I don't think that number is significant enough to where it's going to be like, oh, I'm not going to watch this because it's Mario. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not one of those things. It's just, I don't know. I feel like it doesn't make too much sense to me. But I saw the stills. I think the stills
it
look great.
looks watching the trailer. I'm excited for the film. It looks
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah,
It looks fantastic,
and
and a voice is not gonna bug me that bad of where I'm like, this is awful.
yeah.
Like he's just gonna he'll talk. I'll probably be, if anything, if I don't like the voice,
It's not going to be
it'll
that
probably
big of
be
a
like
deal.
5 minutes of like
Yeah.
this is annoying, and then I get used to it, and then I'm like, all right, I'm
Well, yeah,
in the
the
movie.
voice also shouldn't deter from what the movie is going to be.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
if the movie is a good movie, it's going to be a good movie. I mean, they didn't use the voice of Sonic, like, you know what I mean?
True.
But those are still good movies. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no one, um, they didn't use his voice or any of the past voices of Sonic, and that those movies were just fine because the story mattered. Like, you know what I mean? So I think, yeah, I'm of course, I'm gonna watch it. Like, it's not like I'm not gonna watch the Mario movie,
Yeah,
but
my son's Black Magic said my son sleeps with a Mario doll, and he saw the trailer and said that's not Mario. FYI, he was 4.
see, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just I don't know. I feel like we could have gone in a direction where you could have used Mario in a like, and Mario doesn't necessarily have to talk. That's another thing that a lot of like is not being brought up. Like can just say his lines.
Mhm.
Like he doesn't ever have to be in a conversational scenario. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just a lot of that stuff where people think that you have to humanize people with speaking. We already are past that. Like there's a lot of movies that people are just like speaking other languages or, not speaking at all, where they're still like, I mean, we played a whole Grand Theft Auto game without a character speaking. Like our character speaking at all in Grand Theft Auto 3. So like he didn't speak a word. And we played that game for hours.
Yeah.
Like so with a whole story and everything. So I mean, I don't and there's plenty of games that, movies also that can work silently. I think it's lazy when people feel like you have to have him speak in a movie to make it good. Does it help? Yes. Do you need it? I don't think so. I think you could try to direction the movie to be better and then have him do his famous lines and then, and just have it like that. But they're going for a comedy movie, right? So I get why they want him to speak. But again, you can't convince me that a voice actor can't give us a good voice that you're planning on changing anyway, when the man's been literally doing voices his whole life. So, but apparently he's in the movie, from what I heard. So, who knows?
All right.
Who knows? The only thing that really gets me mad is the creative control and the creative differences, like Netflix had with Avatar, because I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense.
Is that show still happening?
Yes, there are like full casting and all that, but you can't have creative differences with the creators. I'm sorry, I don't care I don't care who you are. No, like that's just no. You just can't have it.
Yeah, Aang's gonna do this. You're wrong. Huh?
What? Huh? You don't know anything about this. I made this character, sir. Like, so that to me I'll never understand it, but I hope Netflix does a good job with that because I do love Avatar. We all know. So, but yeah, so we'll see. I mean, I'm excited for this Gear show though. I think Netflix is going to take good care of it. I hope. And that's one of those things where, it is good. That for me is going to be a little bit difficult with whoever gets casted as Marcus, because Marcus's voice is very prominent to that series for me. Like Marcus's voice is pretty. It's up there with Master
I thought
Chief's voice.
Do they not look
I don't
alike?
know
I thought they did the mocap.
Yeah, but you know who does the voice of Marcus Phoenix, right?
No.
He's the same guy who does the voice of Bender and Jake the dog.
Oh, yeah, he can't do it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I mean, they could do him. They could have him in the animated show though. But again,
they could.
You don't also have to center the story around Marcus. And I think that's another thing that talking about that whole rant that I just did. But that's another thing. Like you don't have to do the same characters. Like it could be in a whole other section of the Gears franchise, right? And you can have a whole other set of cogs and then run into Marcus or have Marcus on the comms, right? Like Marcus telling them what to do, and then it could just be his voice. Like, you know what I mean? Like you don't necessarily need to have Marcus. So I don't know. I feel like, and then if you want to know Marcus's voice or what Marcus's team did, then you go play the game. Yeah. Like that's what I would do. But I mean, I don't know why they don't feel like that would work, but I feel like if I'm watching a movie and it's like a whole other section, and then people are like, "Oh, I want to know what Marcus was doing." Well, we have 5 games you can now play. Like, you know what I mean? That tells you exactly what he did. So it is what it is. It is what it is. So what else? I know we went into a major movie rant and stuff. Oh, Call of Duty. So
yes,
we were. So Chris is gonna love this one.
Oh,
I got this one.
As long as I don't see another fucking wooden gun.
What do you mean? You don't like that? You're not a fan?
I swear to God, if they're like, yeah, World War II, I'll quit Call of Duty right now, today. I'm not playing Modern Warfare.
Why not?
I know they talked about Advanced Warfare, which was a favorite of mine. I mean, I know people hate that opinion. I get flamed for it, but
Chase likes Modern War. He likes
I liked it
Advanced
because I
Warfare.
liked how fast the movements were. I liked dashing and you know, like I liked being able to run into a room. Oh crap, there's somebody there. Push, like boost back or to the side or jump up, or I can stomp on somebody. Like it was a lot of fun. It was just a fun arcadey like Call of Duty.
Yeah, so for this story, this is from The Verge. This is written by Jay Peters. This is according to like Bloomberg and stuff like that. So this it goes according to Bloomberg, Activision Blizzard was going to delay the 2023 release following the poor response to 2021's Call of Duty Vanguard, which failed to meet the company's projections. And Bloomberg had said in January that the company was considering a change in the annual releases. At the time, Activision Blizzard appeared to dispute the reports, though it didn't outright confirm that there would be a 2023 game. This is what they said in their past statement. They said, "We have an exciting slate of premium and free-to-play Call of Duty experiences for this year, next year, and beyond." Activision spokesperson Neil Wood said in a statement in February, "Reports of anything otherwise are incorrect. We look forward to sharing more details when the time is right." And then they later on said, because Warzone comes out soon, right? Does it come out in
Next
20
week
next week? So Warzone comes out next week.
with DMZ coming out like shortly. I don't know if it comes out with Warzone or it comes out afterwards, but DMZ is the Tarkov version.
So then they said,
yeah.
I know that they, and then it says, and Activision had expanded the franchise in recent years beyond just annual premium releases with things like Call of Duty Mobile, the Warzone Battle Royale, which is going to release a 2.0 later this month, and upcoming mobile Warzone release in 2023. So it says Activision is looking forward to building on its current momentum in 2023 with the plans of next year, including the most robust Call of Duty live operation to date, the next full premium release in the Blockbuster annual series, and even more engaging free to play experiences across platforms. So that was what they're running with, and that's why they're saying that another Call of Duty is coming out. So I was going to ask Chris, you kind of answered this, but why would you want Advanced Warfare to be the next one?
I think people miss the like. Okay, so the jetpack period, right? What got annoying? They started overdoing it. Advanced Warfare was a cool take. That's whenever I really got into like competitive Call of Duty. I felt like I was really good at that game. And I just liked it. Was just something new. It was a different movement, futuristic guns. You freaking had laser beams for guns and stuff like that. It was fun. From what I'm getting from this though, is that yes, we might get. I don't know for sure. I don't think we'll get a brand new like Call of Duty game. I think what they're gonna do is, because everything I've seen about Advanced Warfare is like 2024, 2025 is when they want to do that. That's the rumors. I think what they're saying is like for next year, they're gonna drop a huge expansion on Modern Warfare 2, and that's gonna be the next part of the story because they said the story's not done. So the campaign that we have, I think we're gonna get a whole nother campaign on top of it and build up on this Modern Warfare. That's what I think is gonna happen. Because right now, one of the bigger complaints is, I'm level 55, and you used to play Call of Duty. When you hit level 55, you used to prestige. You get your prestige token, and you keep going, and you try to get master prestige. There is no prestiging. You hit level 55, that's it. We're at the cap, and the game's only been out 2 weeks, a week. I'm already done, and now people are grinding camos. So I'm trying to get my gold guns, right? And the way they did it this year to try to make it longer, you used to get all your guns gold, right? As soon as you got all your assault rifles gold, you would unlock diamond for all your assault rifles. The way you have to do it now is you get gold, right? After you get gold, you get platinum. Then to get onyx, you have to redo all the assault rifles with a different set of challenges.
Yeah.
To get onyx. And then if you get onyx on all your guns, all the guns that are in the game, pistols, all that, Then you get a mastery camo thing, and that lets you take camos from other guns and put them on whatever gun you want. So but that's gonna take a while. So that's what they think. But there's people already unlocking Onyx. So
well, yeah, I mean, there's people who that's the only game they play too.
Exactly. So it's gonna they have to add more, and that's what's gonna happen. Even the pros too, going into competitive, they're not gonna play the same. They can't play the same maps for 2 years. They have to add more maps. So hopefully, eventually, I think they're just gonna be. They drop a Call of Duty. They give us a campaign, a good enough campaign, and then that second year they just drop a whole nother campaign to add to the story with more maps and stuff like that. And then after that year, we get the next Call of Duty.
Yeah, so I think you got a good point there. I think a smart thing to do would be their next premium is to be the continuation of this game, just because like you've already worked on the game, right? Like, and any of the game's flaws and stuff like that, it wouldn't like it's not going to matter as much because you can fix them through time. But I don't know when they say like full premium, it makes you believe that it's going to be another like style of game. I think the best move would be just continuing on the Modern Warfare train if that's what you are considering a premium. I wouldn't. I think they should do like we've talked about 2 years every game. I think even 3 years. Like you know what I mean, just to give it some time, but it also gives time for the game that you're currently playing. Like multiplayer games don't need to come out every year. Like I know that they fell in love with that model, and that was mostly because we just continue to keep buying them like every year. But that model, in this day and age, you don't need it anymore because we've seen games that have a full life after their release, right? Like as far as money wise, like you got free to play games. Again, we've got League of Legends, a perfect example. You've got Apex, right? You've got all these games that have still a life, and they're not releasing a new game. Like they're just changing the game that they already have. And I feel like with Warzone, that you can make all of that money, right? Like you can make what your yearly revenue. I know like it's nice to have that initial sales, but once those sales go down, like you're wanting to get the game into as many hands as possible, which I feel like you're just doing it in a more long-term goal if you give the game like a 3 to 4 year time span, right? Instead of going, I'm going to drop this game because like, for instance, ain't nobody spending no money on Vanguard no more or what you call it, Cold War. Like, you know what I mean? So like you just wipe those games out, right? And then anytime you release like these games that you keep doing that, then you're just getting that initial sale, but you're not getting the maximum profit that you would be getting from like Warzone. Because Warzone is what you would consider them getting their max profit because of the skins, because of all the things that people bought for that game. So I don't know. I feel like they should be careful, especially because they've gotten a lot of good reception from Modern Warfare 2 and the Modern Warfare. Just be careful. Don't do anything stupid by like releasing, like you said, a game in World War II. Like just don't be dumb. Just be smart with this. Just take your time. There's no need to rush. You're going to make money. And Activision, you're getting bought by Microsoft anyway. So don't do too many things anyway that they're probably going to not want you to do anyway.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like what I was talking about with Warner Brothers, right? Like trying to release all this stuff. Discovery bought them, and Discovery was just like, throw all of that out of the window. Like Batgirl, go away. Like all of that stuff, just go away because we're trying to save money in these spots, and we want quality over quantity.
Yeah.
And I think that matters, especially with, like I was saying, with just TV shows. Like we waited a long time for the League of Legends show for Arcane. We waited. It was like that show was like 6 years in the making, right? Like, and it paid off because everybody wants another season of Arcane.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with Rings of Power, with House of the Dragon. Like people are willing to wait 2 years, like for those shows to come out because of the quality of the show. And then the same thing with the games. I feel like if you can give us quality games, how long did we wait for God of War? We waited a while, but guess what? It's gonna be here, and I mean, like again, you would really have to shit the bed in order for that game to be bad. Like, and like, I mean, you have to do something really dumb.
You have to intentionally, you have to try.
Yeah, because even the game that I didn't like, God of War 3, which that is, and I'll rephrase that. I love God of War 3. I think God of War 3 is actually the best of those three games. The ending just sucked, but the game itself and everything before the ending was the best. You know what I mean? So like it takes a lot to really mess it up. And I know they're not going to mess this one up, but it just goes to tell that sometimes waiting a little bit longer, making sure you have a good, high quality game that lasts for, I mean, look at how long that God of War lasted and how many people were just playing the first one like last month.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this last one, like last month. So like, because it had a re-release on PC and people were enjoying that. I think they need to get I think the method of game releases just needs to change. And I think we're getting there just so because like it's not worth having a game release and be bad and then trying to fix it, then taking the time, making us wait. We have plenty to play. So I think that's what the same thing that Activision needs to take. You got a good thing going right now. Warzone comes out next week. Hopefully it's going to be good and people are going to, be the same cash cow that Warzone 1 was. And then don't rush your game. Like just let people sit on that for 6 months and then decide, okay, is this what we want to do? Like, you know what I mean? Or decide after, you're getting some feedback from from your consumers. I think that's what Activision needs to do. Hopefully that's what they do so people don't just think, okay, they're just trying to get all our money.
And real quick, for the reason why I think it's going to be a bigger expansion and Warzone's going to progress the story. Spoilers for Modern Warfare 2 campaign. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to leave. I am spoiling the end credit scene and what it's gonna. If you
what a spoiler!
Well, if you don't, if you're not playing the campaign, and you just want to know what's going on, right? Stay tuned. If you want to see the campaign, I actually recorded it and streamed it on my YouTube channel, so you can go see that whole campaign. So plug Echo Fever on YouTube. But also it's gonna get. I'm pretty sure this is what's gonna open up Warzone and why we're in the map that we're gonna be in. So I gave you a few seconds to leave. I'm spoiling it now. Okay. One, the campaign was fun, not great. Okay. It was a lot of some gameplay. I was like, okay, this is annoying. Anyway, the end credit scene was cold. So it ends with Captain Price at the bar. They're celebrating with Soap and Ghost. They're having a drink at the pub. Right. And Laswell, which is the head of the team right now that gives you the intel, was like, hey, we got new intel on this person, blah, blah, blah. And pulls up a laptop and they all look at it. And Captain Price is like, yeah, we know this guy. And I was like, okay. And they pass the thing around and it's Makarov. So, and then it cuts to the plane, right? And I was like, they're not about to do what I think they're about to do. And these guys are like, they're sitting in the plane. They get a text or this guy gets a text message. You don't see the text message yet. He looks across, nods his head. They put their mask on. They cock their guns. They stand up. Camera ends with zooming into the camera or of the phone, and it says "No Russia" on it. So going back to the whole the news breaking, shooting up the airport, all this other stuff. It was a crazy time, right? Mm-hmm. So that is a huge step of like they're making one. They brought in one of the baddest like enemies that you've had that you're fighting through, right? From Modern Warfare 2 into Modern Warfare 3, and they're gonna do it with Warzone, and I think there's gonna be a lot of story to tell there. And we'll see. I don't know if they're really gonna do the like Godzilla thing again. You know what I mean? I'm sure at the end of it'll get to that point, but for right now, I think we have a good, solid couple months of like, no, we're actually gonna take the story serious. It's just gonna be this game, and we're gonna go off from there. So yeah.
I mean, again, time will tell. I hope. Again, I always want to see these games be successful. Yep. I don't like, you know what I mean? I don't want these games to be bad because competition helps us out. We get better products when competition is good. So I want Modern Warfare to be good so that makes everyone else step their game up. Like, so everyone else can have different options to play games because when competition happens, we benefit from it. Like, you know what I mean? When people are trying to fight for game of the year, guess what? We get the best games those years. When there's like every company fighting to get game of the year, we get the best games in that year. So let's make it happen. So I hope Call of Duty makes it work out. I hope they don't do anything crazy. Again, that acquisition for Microsoft is trying to happen. So there's going to be some things to look out for. So it's going to be interesting. So, but yeah, I mean, I think that's going to wrap it up for us. We've talked for an hour. We've got a little rant out. We'll probably be like a little bit more structured when the next time we do it. But we know we needed to get these out because we haven't seen you guys or talked to you guys in a while. So we haven't done one of the live ones in a while. So yeah, you guys know what everything is. But yeah, as always, if you guys like our stuff, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. It helps us with the algorithm. Like, you guys might not think it's a lot, but like one like definitely helps, like one comment, and we want to engage with you guys. So like, we like hearing what you guys have to say. I like answering back, especially on the reviews and stuff, because I like to hear other people's opinion about the shows and stuff that I watch. So yeah, so please do all that good stuff. I will be dropping an Andor episode this week, and I have to go see Black Adam at some point. But obviously, Wakanda Forever will be dropped.
I thought you saw Black.
I have not. No, I haven't seen it yet. But I need to go see that immediately. But obviously, I'm not seeing it before I see Wakanda. So, because that's a must, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts. I might cry. You know, I ain't ashamed.
You ain't. You gotta. You might cry. You're gonna cry.
I'm gonna cry. First 2 minutes, I'm gonna be like.
It's not even that. I mean, if you don't cry the whole movie, you know at the end credit scene they're gonna have his picture and loving memory.
I'm pretty sure you're crying once they show up. It's already been like, kind of established like that's what's going to happen. So yeah, I'm excited for it. And again, I'll drop that for you guys. So please stick around. Make sure you have the notification bell signed and all that good stuff so you guys can know when we drop stuff. So. But until next time, go shame Yendi also. Go look for him and shame him on all his stuff because he's probably losing in Overwatch right now. And we're happy about that if he is. But until next time.